Midnight, Chicago, New Year's Eve, 2019. The lights inside Chicago's metro dimmed. The crowd counted down, and a band everyone believed was gone for good stepped onto the stage. Months earlier in June 2019, Motion City Soundtrack, who had stepped away from the spotlight back in 2016, announced their reunion and the Don't Call It a Comeback tour to widespread excitement. Tickets for the highly anticipated run went on sale shortly after the June announcement, vanishing online in seconds. But it was this New Year's Eve show in Chicago that truly kicked off their return. Fans clutched each other, some in tears because this group's hyperactive synth punk had carried them through breakups, panic attacks, and long nights studying calculus. Lead singer Justin Pierre leaned into the mic. "In 2 days," he whispered, "I'll hit 10 years sober." The room fell silent, then erupted. Balloons rained down while the band crashed into Together We'll Ring in the New Year. It felt less like a comeback show and more like a mass reset button. Band and audience choosing to start again together. So why did a group, seemingly at their loudest roar, walk away in 2016? And what convinced them that now, after marriages, after battles with mental health, and after a whole industry reset, there's another chapter truly worth writing? In Minneapolis, Joshua Kane already knew the city's club scene. Justin Pierre, on the other hand, still hid stage fright behind a mop of hair. In 1997, Kane convinced Pierre to leave his struggling group and build something from scratch. They'd already worked together in a previous band. They borrowed the name Motion City Soundtrack from a half-finished film project conceived by Kane's brother. They started recording early ideas on a 4-track and began hunting for bandmates. Drummers and bassists drifted in and out so often that Kane and Pierre doubled on keyboards to fill out the sound and keep rehearsals moving, ensuring their musical ideas could progress despite lineup changes. Pierre fought through heavy drinking binges during these early years. He later confessed, "We nearly broke up before the first tour because of it." Survival meant staying in motion, so they booked weekend shows anywhere a promoter would promise $20 and floor space. A flash of their unique sound arrived when Kane wired a second-hand Moog synthesizer into their pop-punk sound. He got the idea from the Rentals, a band he admired, and their album Return of the Rentals. Applying this inspiration, Kane's Moog synthesizer produced bright chirps and bendy leads that sliced right through the gritty basement PA systems at their live shows. Kids in the audience leaned forward, curious. Each show ended with the same question: what was that keyboard? By summer 2002, the band self-released I Am the Movie, burning CDs and slipping them into chopped open floppy disk sleeves. 3,000 copies sold directly from the stage or their website. The DIY stunt fit their scrappy charm, but it was the songs My Favorite Accident and The Future Freaks Me Out that kept crowds shouting lyrics outside in parking lots. Interest snowballed. Universal sniffed around. Triple Crown booked a showcase. Yet it was Brett Gurewitz of Epitaph Records who drove the final stake. After hearing praise from label mates Matchbook Romance, he signed Motion City and re-released I Am the Movie, their first studio album, on the 24th of June 2003. This re-release, adding 4 fresh tracks, climbed to number 42 on Billboard's independent chart and landed the band a coveted support slot on Blink-182's 2004 European and Japanese tours, a recommendation from Mark Hoppus. Their rise was swift, but even amidst the growing success on the road, Justin Pierre was always working. Under the fluorescent lights of chain restaurant diners, he constantly scribbled lyrics he called therapy homework. Listeners latched on because the words balanced self-loathing and goofy optimism, proof that admitting pain didn't cancel out joy. That tension, pain, and punchlines, Moog beeps and power chords, formed the band's early spark. The scene now buzzed with expectation. These misfits had a cult following, but could raw energy translate into an anthem for thousands? Winter in Minneapolis bites hard. During the cold months of 2004, Justin Pierre made a critical decision. He checked himself into treatment for alcohol abuse. It was a difficult period, but one that would profoundly shape the band's future sound. Between counseling sessions, he poured his experiences into new riffs on a battered acoustic guitar, rewriting verses until sunrise. These raw, honest moments would directly fuel him. Commit This to Memory's lyrical depth addresses themes of substance abuse, psychological struggles, and relationships head-on. When Mark Hoppus flew in to produce the album, he found a frontman who alternated between self-deprecating jokes and anxious pacing, a reflection of the intense vulnerability that would define their breakout record. Hoppus's simple brief for the recording sessions was clear. I won't remake you, I'll amplify you. Released on June 7, 2005, Commit This to Memory, their second studio album, opened with the sprinting guitar of Attractive Today and never eased up. The breakout single Everything Is Alright read like an OCD checklist. Give me a break, I'm doing my best. I'm not insane, I'm just a little anxious. Patrick Stump dropped in for harmonies. Hoppus himself sang on Hangman. Sales crossed 285,000, and alternative press hailed it clever pop rock that bleeds honesty. The band's real measure of success, however, came from the road. Think Warped Tour 2005. Canvas tents flapped in the desert heat while teenagers belted Pierre's insecurities louder than the speakers. They returned for Warp in 2006, and their merch line was so popular it often stayed busy even after the generators powering the booths ran out of fuel. As one fan later wrote, the album told me Panic could be funny and survivable. Riding that wave, Motion City's soundtrack cut Even If It Kills Me, their third studio album released on September 18, 2007, with a dream team of producers, Rick Ocasek, Adam Schlesinger, and Eli Janney. It debuted at number 16 on Billboard and number 1 on the independent chart, proving that sincerity could absolutely chart. Yet success whispered new worries. Longer tours blurred home life. Bigger stages demanded tighter precision. Pierre, concerned about shredding his voice, toned down his trademark bark for softer melodies. Still, within the applause hid a silent countdown. The band was earning their stripes fast, but the climb was steep, and somewhere beyond the spotlights loomed bigger decisions about labels, budgets, and identity. What would happen when major label muscle tried to add too much polish? The glow from Commit This to Memory hadn't even faded when Motion City's soundtrack came back swinging with Even If It Kills Me. Bigger stages followed. So did bigger bills. When Columbia Records showed up with major label muscle for Album 4, the band didn't hesitate. They signed. And in January 2010, they delivered My Dinosaur Life, their fourth studio album. Mark Hoppus is back in the producer's chair, and Motion City's soundtrack is sounding sharper, louder, and more polished than ever. The album hit number 15 on the Billboard 200. Guitars roared, the Moog stepped back, and Pierre wrote about growing older while feeling stuck in place. In Worker Bee, he pleaded, "Give me the strength to be kind, to combine all the good things in life." Fans loved the volume boost, yet some missed the quirky bleeps that once set the band apart. Pierre later laughed about the major label chapters, saying, "Columbia had nicer coffee, but we were still the same weirdos in a van." But the joke hid real strain. Endless promo cycles blurred friendships into spreadsheets, and the band started to wonder whether all that major label polish was worth the shine it stripped away from their core. The only escape, they agreed, was to steer back toward the sound that first lit their fuse. But returning home isn't always easy, is it? They parked the van outside Epitaph again and hoped the old address still felt like home. Go, their fifth studio album, arrived on June 12, 2012, its sleeve awash in pale blue clouds that hinted at the record inside. Funeral thoughts, mid-30s aches, late-night dread. Pierre wrote much of it after losing two friends, and he sang about drifting through life like sleepwalking. Tracks such as Timelines and True Romance wrap those worries in sparkling Moog lines. They proved the band could face mortality without dropping the melody. Critics called the Go album their most reflective work. Some fans needed extra spins before the quieter truths clicked. Touring never slowed. By the 1,000th mile, the van's heat felt heavier, and drummer Tony Thaxton carried the weight. In March 2013, he shared a raw, heartfelt note. Years of relentless touring had fused his depression to the very thing he loved, and it was time to step away. "Music became my life and my cage," he later told Brooklyn Vegan, adding that nights off stage were darker than the clubs. The drummer's vacancy barely cooled. Claudio Rivera from Saves the Day auditioned in a Minneapolis basement and got the gig the very same evening. With new energy on the kit, Motion City booked Pachyderm Studio, the cedar-scented room where Nirvana's In Utero was recorded. Winter snow drummed the roof while producer John Agnello ordered the band to track live. No headphones. 14 days later, they walked out with Panic Stations, their 6th studio album, released on September 18, 2015. It crackled like a power line. TKO punches first. I Can Feel You landed last, and everywhere in between, you hear strings buzz and lungs strain. Reviewers praised the urgency, but also sensed exhaustion under the speed. Just 6 months after Panic Stations dropped, a short blog post appeared on their website, stating simply, "For now, we are done." But behind that concise message were years of mounting pressure. Justin Pierre later elaborated that the decision stemmed from exhaustion with touring and growing families. Joshua Cain echoed this, reflecting that the band had placed far too much emphasis on numbers and trajectory instead of the creative process, a sentiment that contributed to their collective burnout. Farewell shows sold out in under an hour. Thaxton returned to pound the toms one last time. Every night closed with Hold Me Down, and the final cymbal hung in the air like a question no one was ready to answer. The crew packed the trailer in silence, unsure if those cases would ever reopen. The road signs now pointed to solitude. Would distance kill the spark, or could it somehow heal it? The break was less a breakup than a survival pact. After years of relentless touring and personal struggles, the members needed time apart for their individual well-being and growth. Justin Pierre stayed sober, became a dad, and in 2018 released solo LP In the Drink. Notably, Joshua Cain produced it in a makeshift attic studio. Cain found steady work behind other bands' boards. Rivera taught drum clinics, and Tony Thaxton, trading sticks for a microphone, discovered podcasting. No lawsuits, no social media feuds, just 4 friends learning to breathe apart. Fans survived on crumbs during this quiet period. An unreleased Mark Hoppus-produced outtake, Crooked Ways, surfaced on SoundCloud. A few acoustic covers drifted onto YouTube. The quiet felt strange, yet it was necessary. During therapy sessions, Pierre reread old lyric notebooks and wrote a single, profound line in the margin. Time answered what talent couldn't. In a 2019 interview, he said, "I spent years asking why I felt broken. Turns out the fix was real life. Change diapers, mow grass, talk to a counselor." Cain's revelation mirrored his own. "I tried to quit music, then realized the band is hardwired into my DNA." Scattered emails slowly grew into a lively group chat. Then, in early June 2019, someone typed a simple question. New Year's Eve? The idea of playing again, even if just for one night, sparked immediate excitement. Everyone clicked yes within minutes. They booked Chicago's Metro and spent autumn preparing, revisiting old set lists and ensuring the songs still fit their performance. This singular Chicago show would ultimately become the high-profile kickoff for their larger reunion tour. Midnight in Chicago would be the ultimate test. Could dormant chords still vibrate hearts? And would there be magic left? The Metro show generated overwhelming goodwill. Each reunion date sold out before lunch. January 2020 felt like the mid-2000s again. But then the pandemic blacked out venues worldwide, and their early 2020 tour was forced to pause. Instead of sulking, the band adapted. They shared individual recorded song files over Wi-Fi, rebuilding riffs from living room amps. Pierre joked on Instagram, "Long-distance relationships can work if you yell loud enough." Fresh momentum surfaced in August 2024 with the single Stop Talking. This song was written specifically for the Sundance Darling film, Dee Dee. The track's nervy synth line and shout-along chorus proved rust hadn't crept into their gears. When the single was unveiled, Pierre captioned its announcement. "Hi, I'm the problem, only this time, that's useful." Fans screenshotted the line. Self-deprecation never sounded so healthy. Bigger news followed. The Same Old Wasted Wonderful World, their 7th studio album, is slated for release on September 19, 2025 on Epitaph Records. This album was recorded at Electrical Audio in Chicago with engineer Sean O'Keefe. Guest spots from Patrick Stump of Fall Out Boy, Matt Caracas of Citizen, and Deanna Bellis, Sincere Engineer, added fresh textures. but Kane's bright Moog and Pierre's candid verses remained at the center. The lead single, She Is Afraid, dropped on June 17, 2025, with a split-screen video nodding to Apple TV Plus series Severance. The song marries chunky guitars to spiraling synth bleeps, forming a sonic bridge between I Am the Movie and modern anxieties. Pierre calls the album our clearest self-portrait. Same colors, sharper lines. Kane invites listeners. The world is nuts. Come scream or smile with us. The comeback feels less like reliving glory days and more like collecting scattered pages into a sturdier, more complete book. 10 quiet years gave the band new gears. Now, every cog locks tighter. Motion City Soundtrack's journey from DIY misfits to mainstream emo icons, and now to a revitalized creative force, truly mirrors the emotional arc of their dedicated fanbase. They provided a profound sense of catharsis during their listeners' youth, burned brightly through periods of intense touring and personal struggle, and wisely paused when necessary. That hiatus, far from being a decline, proved to be a crucial period of personal growth and reflection for the band members. Their return, marked by the surprise New Year's Eve reunion and the subsequent announcement of new music, signifies a powerful reclaiming of their legacy. With a newfound clarity and maturity, they're once again stepping into their role as storytellers, crafting synth-fueled emotional anthems that resonate with the complexities of adult life. Their continued evolution, balancing classic elements with fresh perspectives, ensures that their music remains relevant and impactful. Motion City Soundtrack's enduring artistry and resilience serve as a testament to the lasting appeal of pop punk that's deeply rooted in authenticity and shared human experience. Which era hits you hardest? The Basement Days, the Gold Cert Breakthrough, or the Brand New Chapter? Tell us below, and tap subscribe for more deep dive band stories every week. We'll see you in the next video.